don't mind me just sitting like in my Christmas tree trying to get it in frame. Hello. Hello my friends, it's Lisa, and today's video I'm going to be talking about all of the things that I loved during this whole entire year, during 2021. This year was definitely not great. For a lot of more personal reasons, it's just not a great year for me, so I thought it would be fun to kind of reflect on the good things, the things that I enjoyed this year, the things that make me happy when reflecting on this year, just because I feel like I, and maybe you, need a little bit of extra, reminders and just some extra happiness at the end of this year, because it's been a rough one, kids. So yeah, I thought this year it would be fun to once again talk about my favorite things of the year. I've done this the past 2 years since I've been on YouTube, and it's just really fun to talk about like the music, the makeup, the shows, movies, things like that, things that I don't typically talk about as often on my channel, the things that I was loving throughout the whole year that I don't mention as much. So I think that that's it. Let's just get into the video. Okay, Sam has decided it's time to be sassy. I'm just sitting here minding my business and he just decided to bite my arm. So you might hear him playing with his toy because that's what I'm going to use to distract him. Anyways, I'm going to get started with the music, and first and foremost, let's just talk about her, Taylor Swift. So funnily enough, last year with my 2020 favorites, I said, if Taylor Swift or BTS do anything before the end of the year, that will, go without saying that that's going to be a favorite for me. And like a few days after posting it, she released Evermore, so you're welcome for manifesting that. There's a hair on my tree and it's distracting me. So shout out to Evermore, because even though it came out at the end of last year, I didn't get a chance to actually mention it in last year's favorites, and it was an album that I listened to a ton this year, so love her, she's a fave. But Taylor Swift also re-released 2 of her albums, so we got Fearless Taylor's version and Red Taylor's version, and even though, like, I've said this every time she's re-released an album, even though the reason why she's having to do that is kind of terrible, and it's obviously frustrating that she even has to do it in the first place. Sup? Even though that situation isn't great, it's still fun to be able to relive the albums and the releases and the eras and everything. It's just been kind of fun going back in time and like hearing the songs again almost for the first time. And I feel like with Fearless and Red, both of them are meaningful to me for different things. Fearless was the album that got me into Taylor Swift, so it was really cool to kind of relive that. And Red is kind of my favorite Taylor Swift album, or it was for a very long time. I've said this multiple times. Kind of went through a crisis last year trying to figure out what my favorite Taylor Swift albums were, because she has so many and I just can't make decisions. But I always really loved Red, so getting the re-release version, hearing her mature voice on Red, it just so good. And then we finally got the 10-minute version of All Too Well. We've been waiting years. She's also been releasing vault tracks, so songs that she wrote for these albums originally, but they didn't make it to the album. So that's been fun to hear different songs like that as well. But I feel like I've talked about Taylor Swift enough on my channel this year, so we don't really need to talk about it for too long. I've already talked about her for a very long time, so we're gonna move on, but of course I had to mention Taylor Swift. Anything she does every year is a favorite for sure. I don't know if I said this before, but I'm gonna start with albums and then I'm gonna go into just like artists in general that I was listening to a lot this year. So the next album I want to talk about is You Signed Up for This by Macy Peters. I've listened to Macy Peters for a while. I remember when her actual like first song kind of came out. I think that was like 2017. And I've kind of kept up with her releases kind of since then, but I did kind of fall out of it for a little bit, and then for some reason this year, I don't know if I just saw one of her songs on a playlist or something, but I got really into her music again, and she actually released her first album this year, and it is so good. I'm obsessed. I think it came out in August and it's been on repeat basically since. I just love it so much. I think she is so talented. You can definitely tell that Macy Peters loves Taylor Swift too. I feel like her songwriting is really good and you can tell that that's really important to her, and I just really like her music. One of her songs was in my top 5 Spotify songs, my Spotify Wrapped top 5 songs. I don't know what I'm saying. Basically, love her. It's a great album. I'm actually surprised her song, I'm Trying Not Friends, wasn't in my top 5 because I listened to that song an unhealthy amount of times. So if you haven't checked out Macy Peters, I would highly recommend, especially if you like Taylor Swift. Just hit my tree. The next album, I have to mention it. It's probably going to be a lot of people's like favorite albums or one of their favorite albums of the whole year, and that is Sour by Miss Olivia Rodrigo, of course. I actually haven't listened to the album in a while, but when the album first came out, the first like few months, That was all I listened to. Just that, over and over and over again. And obviously when Driver's License was released earlier in the year, I, like everyone else, became obsessed with it. I just think she is so talented, and the fact that this is her first album, I just feel like she's just gonna improve over time. It's just gonna get better and better, and what she's already doing is so good. So I'm excited to see kind of where she goes, what she releases next, because I probably will love it. I will be listening. I'm just so excited for her. I think she's super talented. So of course I had to mention Sour. It took over my life like everyone else's. I keep hitting my tree. I'm just gonna move this branch down and maybe that will help. The next album I wanted to talk about is When Facing the Things We Turn Away From. Yes, it's a long title name, but that is the album by Luke Hemmings, who is a member of 5 Seconds of Summer, and this is kind of his like solo album. So I was a very, 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 very big 5 Seconds of Summer fan for a very long time. I still really love them. I'm just not like as obsessed with them as I used to be. To be fair, there hasn't been a whole lot happening with them. They actually just released a song today, so now I sound like a fool, but they really haven't done that much, and I'm just not as obsessed with them as I used to be, but I used to be such a big fan. So Ashton also released his own solo album, and it was really exciting when Luke released that he was going to do that as well. So I did listen to this album quite a bit when it was released, and I just really like it. The song Diamonds I think is my favorite song off the album. I feel like I just always have that song in my head, or I'm wanting to listen to it. It's definitely like one of my favorite songs, I think, of the year. I really enjoy it, so of course I had to talk about that as well. The last album I want to mention before I get into some of the K-pop albums that I listened to this year is Only Child by Sasha Sloan. Don't know if I'm saying her name right, I think I am, but please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. But I don't even really know how I came across this album. I think it was just recommended to me on Spotify. I do like to occasionally go through the kind of playlist Spotify makes for you, or the like release radar playlist, things like that, just to kind of find new music that maybe I wouldn't know about if I wasn't looking through those playlists. And I think that's where I found this album, and I listened to it a ton. I think it's, again, very much my vibe. It's very chill, and the songwriting on this album as well is also stunning. But yeah, it was an album that I had on quite a bit, so I'm really happy that I kind of found it. I'm not saying that she's like an underground artist or that she's never been heard of before. It's more so just I was not aware of her. So I'm really glad that it got recommended to me because I really enjoyed this album. And then in the K-pop side of things, I wanted to mention Lilac by IU. She was also one of my top artists in my Spotify Wrapped. I am obsessed with this woman. I love her so much. I love her music. I think she's also very talented, and I love her songwriting as well. And the album Lilac is actually perfection. Like, I don't think that there was a song on that album I don't like. It was one that I would just loop constantly. I would just have it on all the time, and it's one that I just never got sick of either. Sorry, brief intermission to clear some space on my memory card, but as I was saying, Lilac, just the perfect album for me. I'm so obsessed with it. I have gone back and listened to more of IU's music as well, and I definitely want to go through more of her albums because she has a decent amount of music. She's also been in a few K-dramas that I really want to watch. I just think that she is just so talented, so great. So Lilac was definitely a standout, probably one of my favorite albums of the year. I also had to mention my boys, TXT, Tomorrow by Together. Love them dearly. They came out with the Chaos Chapter album, so that I think one was Freeze, and that one had like the most new songs on it, I think, and it was really good. I just think TXT is so talented. I feel like I've talked about them the past couple of years, maybe last year, and I know I said this last year, but I just think that every song that they do is so different. They experiment a lot. They do a lot of really unique and cool things. I feel like they're doing a lot of different things that most K-pop groups really aren't doing right now. I just feel like they are just kind of in their own little area, and they're just so talented and so good. So absolutely obsessed with them, and that album had it on repeat quite a bit, as I was with all of these albums. A lot of these albums were on repeat, because that's my brain. I just get obsessive with things. So I think that's actually it for K-pop albums, but like I said, I was going to talk about just artists in general, so I'll keep on the theme of K-pop and quickly talk about some artists that I just was really into this year. So first, Red Velvet. I did start listening to them, I think, last year, but this year I kind of got a bit more into them, listened to a bit more of their music, and I really like them. They're definitely one of my favorite girl groups when it comes to K-pop, and they did release an album this year. They released Queendom. They might have released another one, but I think that might be it. I could be wrong. I'm not really sure. There's a lot of K-pop releases all the time and it's very difficult to keep up with them all. So I definitely got a bit more into Red Velvet this year, and they also, like, individual members released their own albums and songs and things like that. So I definitely listened to those and really enjoyed those as well. I just wanted to mention Red Velvet, like, as a whole. Another K-pop girl group that I've gotten really into this year is Twice. I am obsessed with their music. I just love their music so much. I'm actually, when I got my Spotify Wrapped stuff, I was very surprised that their song Alcohol Free wasn't in my top 5 because I listened to that song so much, like an unhealthy amount of times. It was one of those songs, it just got stuck in my head, and the only way to fix it was to listen to it, but then that would only continue it getting stuck in my head. It was just a continuous cycle, but it was worth it because that song is such a bop, and turns out it wasn't in my top 5, but it was my number 6 most played song of the year, so it almost made it. And then kind of in the K-pop area, not a girl group though, of course I had to mention BTS. Hello, it's me. They're not a new favorite for sure, but they did have some new songs that were released this year. They didn't actually come out with an album this year, which was a bit unusual. I feel like they release them pretty often. I feel like there's typically one like per year or less than a year. They normally don't wait even a year between albums, so it is a bit unusual that they haven't released an album, but also, like, I'm not complaining. They're doing amazing. I love them so much. And they released a few songs this year, so I think they released Film Out, Butter, Permission to Dance, and My Universe. And they also obviously had their own, like, individual songs that they also released. Individual members released their own songs. And of course, they were favorites. I just love BTS so much. Anything they do, I'm like, good work. 10 out of 10. So yeah, I just wanted to mention the new BTS songs and content that we got this year. And then the final artist that is not K-pop at all, I just wanted to mention them because I've kind of gotten into a couple of their songs more recently, and that is Valley. I don't know, I think this might have been another thing that was recommended through Spotify or something. I'm not quite sure how I stumbled across their music, but a few of their songs I just really got into, and I now want to go back and listen to more of their older stuff, and I'm trying to keep up with their newer stuff as well. I just really like them. I very much like their vibe and their sound and everything, so definitely happy that I kind of discovered them this year. I definitely found some new artists this year that I'm excited to continue to pay attention to and keep up with and find more of their songs, but also go back, listen to some of their older stuff. It's just very exciting when you discover new artists, but yeah, really into them. Really into all of the stuff that I just mentioned. I had a lot of music to talk about. So I think that that's it though. I will have my Spotify linked below. It's always linked below if you want to go and check out like my top songs of 2021 playlist, or just follow me on Spotify. I don't know. It's there if you want to. But yeah, that's it for the music. So now I'm going to move on to the kind of TV and movies that I watched this year. So I only have one movie that I want to mention, and I kind of debated going back and forth on if I wanted to mention it, but then I remembered it made me sob, so I figured it might be worth it. And that movie is Always and Forever Laura Jean. I have a cat playing with a toy in my hand, so apologies. But Always and Forever Laura Jean is the third and final movie in the To All the Boys I Loved Before trilogy, and I just really like these movies overall. I definitely think I had issues with the second and third one. I adore the first one. The first one is one of my favorite movies now. It's such a comfort for me, but I feel like the third one was definitely an improvement to the second one, and it felt more reminiscent of the first movie and kind of had that more comforting feel to it. And I just really enjoyed it. I love the whole trilogy. I think it's such a fun, like, rom-com series, and yeah, I really enjoyed them. I think they're so fun, and like I said, it made me cry. All three of them make me cry, and I don't know why. But yeah, that was really the only new movie that I watched this year that I, like, really loved. I don't typically watch new movies anyway. I'm really bad about watching things in general, so I typically, if I'm gonna watch a movie, it's gonna be a movie I've seen a million times. So that's just how I roll. So Always and Forever Laura Jean is kind of the only movie I wanted to mention. So moving into the shows, I actually have a few to mention. I am also pretty bad about watching new TV shows. I either will marathon like a whole season in a day, or it will take me years to finish a show. But it's fine. I do have a few to talk about. So this was the year I finally watched my first K-dramas. I've only seen 2 still, but I want to mention both of them. The first one might be my favorite show that I watched this year in general, and that is Romance is a Bonus Book. So Romance is a Bonus Book is about this woman who's basically homeless, doesn't have a job. She was divorced from her husband. Her daughter is being sent off to this school that she has to try and pay for, but she can't get a job because she was a stay-at-home mom for so long that her kind of knowledge on like marketing or publishing isn't really valid anymore. A lot of people won't hire her because it's been so long since she's worked there. So when she sees that where her best friend works, who is the main lead, he works at a publishing company, and there's kind of this entry level job for like just basically to be an intern. You don't have to have any experience. So she applies for that job and gets it. So now she's working with her best friend, and he's also allowing her to stay with him. And they were actually like childhood friends, and it turns out that he's had feelings for her for a very, very, very long time. So it's kind of like childhood friends to lovers, and that is just like peak everything to me. I love it so much. Chef's kiss, so good. I'm obsessed. It was just a really like lighthearted and cute K-drama. It did also make me sob, but I cry at everything, so. But I did really, really enjoy it. It's probably like one of my favorite shows that I watched this year, if not my favorite thing that I watched this year, just because of how much I think about it. I contemplate rewatching it all the time, which maybe I should just do it. I loved the characters. I loved the friends to lovers kind of trope. I loved that they all worked in the publishing company because obviously I love reading, and so it was a really cool environment to see, as well as all the other co-workers and everything. Just the whole environment, everyone that worked there, it was just such a fun dynamic to see, and I love the whole thing. It was so good. Definitely one of my favorites of the whole year. The other K-drama I watched this year I wanted to mention, and that is It's Okay to Not Be Okay. So this was actually the first K-drama I watched. I've only seen these two, but that was the first one. This one is definitely a lot more angsty and a lot more dramatic than the other one. This one is a bit more heavier as well. The Romance as a Bonus Book is definitely a lot more lighthearted. And I think I did prefer Romance as a Bonus Book, but this one was still really good. It's also following this woman who is a writer for like children's books, and then the main male lead, he has a brother who really likes her books, and they kind of cross paths, and they continue to cross paths, and they don't really get along, but she's kind of determined for him to like her. So it's just a very interesting dynamic, a very interesting show, and it's very emotional as well. Like I said, this one definitely wasn't as lighthearted as Romance as a Bonus Book, so this show I was sobbing every single episode. It was a lot, but it was really good as well. A lot of great like mental health representation and discussions as well, which I really appreciated, and I just really loved the characters. I thought they were really fun to follow, so yeah, I really like this one as well. I also wanted to mention Shadow and Bone, which is a new Netflix show based off of the Grishaverse books, which I have read, and it's interesting because I don't love the Grishaverse books. I like Six of Crows. That's about it. But the Shadow and Bone show is combining the Shadow and Bone trilogy as well as the Six of Crows books and those characters, and I think they did a great job. Obviously there's issues, it's not perfect, but I really enjoyed it. It actually made me enjoy the Grisha world and that original like story a lot more. I feel like this story was just made to be adapted for screen. I feel like the translation to screen makes me enjoy the actual story a lot more. I don't even know if I could describe what the show is about. We're following Alina, who discovers that she has these abilities that are people who have these abilities in this world are known as Grisha. So she gets taken away by this character called the Darkling to go to the palace and to be trained, and that's just kind of the start of it all, and it's really good. I really do enjoy the show. I think they took the kind of original source material and they definitely did some things that weren't so great, but I think they took the general story and the tone of the original story and made it better. So I'm really excited to see where they go from here in season 2. We're going to be getting some exciting casting in season 2. We're getting Nikolai. I'm so excited. I genuinely think Nikolai is the best thing Leigh Bardugo has ever created. So very excited for season 2, but season 1 was also really great. Definitely one of my favorite, I think, book to screen adaptations. Next, I want to talk about Over the Garden Wall, which is a Cartoon Network show following these two brothers who are kind of lost in the woods, and you're following them over 10 episodes. They're really short, they're like 10 minutes each, and you see them kind of trying to find their way back home, and they run into different people, different places, and it was just the perfect thing to watch in October. It's obviously a kids show, it's geared towards children, so it's not scary at all, but it does have a little bit of a spooky element to it, and it was also just really cozy as well. It was just the perfect show to watch in October. I definitely think I will rewatch it every October. It was just really perfect. And because I don't really like scary movies, so I tend to watch, you know, around Halloween. I watch Hocus Pocus a million times, Halloween Town, and Twitches. That's what I watch. So I'm excited to add another wholesome, cute, Halloween type themed movie or show to watch around that time of year, because I don't watch scary movies, so I have a limited amount of things I can watch, but I really enjoyed it, definitely would recommend. And because the episodes are so short, you can basically just watch it all in one sitting, kind of like a movie. I didn't do that because I was enjoying it so much. I wanted to extend it over as many days as possible, but it was really fun and really cute, and also really adored the characters. They were so precious, and it was so fun seeing their story. It was just really cute. Definitely recommend. And the last show I want to mention is a show that I've been watching basically all year, and I'm only on season 3, but that is Gilmore Girls. I wanted to mention it just because I am enjoying it so far. We'll see if the whole show makes it onto my 2022 favorites list, because I've heard the later seasons are not so good, but we'll find out. But so far, like I said, I'm only on season 3, so I'm really enjoying it so far. It's very cozy. In the show, in case you do not know, you're following this woman, Lorelai, and her daughter, Rory, and it's just them in their small New England town, which I find really cool because I live in New England, so seeing, like, I don't know, it just gives off the vibes of very, like, homey, feels very cozy, and I just really enjoy it for that. But you're just kind of following them in their town through their lives, and I think it's just a really cozy show. I really enjoy it. It's definitely a show that I don't think I can really marathon. I think that's why it's taking me so long, because the overall tone is very much the same every episode. But I do like it for that reason, because it's very easy to watch, very relaxing to just put on. But it does get one that kind of gets tiring to watch after a little while. I need some change of pace, but I do really like it. Very cozy. It was recommended for me to watch by my friends Darian and Casey. I obviously knew what it was for years. I was just really young when it was originally on, so I didn't watch it then. Didn't watch it for a while because I didn't think it would be my thing, and it's definitely, like, not my favorite thing I've ever watched, but I really do overall like the vibes of it. I am enjoying it so far, so hopefully I can finish the rest of the seasons in the next year. But we'll see. Like I said, it takes me a while to watch shows. It's either one day or 10 years. There's no in between. So that is it, I think, for shows and movies. So let's just move on to the more lifestyle, miscellaneous things. I think I'm going to start off with some makeup, because I do have a few things to talk about there. Let's start off with the ColourPop things. ColourPop is one of my favorite brands, especially when it comes to eyeshadows. I just think they have a really nice eyeshadow formula without being super expensive. They're very cheap, so I just really like their products because they work well, but they're also not super expensive. So the first things I got this year from them are the Animal Crossing palettes, and they're just so cute. I think they had a couple more, but I have the Nook Ink palette, which is the more green toned palette, and it's really pretty. And then I also have the What a Hoot palette, which is the cutest name, and this is the more like neutral palette. I definitely feel like I wear the What a Hoot palette a little bit more than this one, just because I definitely wear neutrals more often, but I do really like green eyeshadow, and this was a fun addition to my collection. Definitely don't have these shades really anywhere else in any other palette that I own, and I also just think they're really cute because they are Animal Crossing themed. I really love Animal Crossing. I haven't played in a very, very, very long time, but I definitely want to get back into it because it's just so wholesome and cute and relaxing, and I just really like it. It's very like my vibe when it comes to games. I don't want to do anything too stressful, so it's perfect for me, and these palettes are also just so good. I also got the Hocus Pocus collection that they came out with this October because I, one, again, love ColourPop and I love Hocus Pocus so much. So when I saw it, I was like, this is everything. So this is definitely newer to my collection because I only got this in October, but I have been using these couple of things from it quite a bit. So again, another eyeshadow palette. This is the Witching Hour palette. Let me see if I can cover the mirror so it's not reflective, but this is what it looks like. It's really pretty. Again, more neutral, but does have some fun pops of color. And I do think the neutrals do lean a lot more warm, so it's not just like another boring neutral palette. It does have some warmth and some excitement to it. And then I also have been wearing this like individual Super Shock shadow that they have. This is the one called To Be Young and Beautiful Again. And this is just this really pretty like champagne kind of rose gold color. I don't know how well that picks up on camera, but it's really pretty to either like pack on and have it like full intensity, or just to kind of dab it across the eye, add a bit of glitter, add a bit of sparkle. It's just a really pretty everyday color for me, so I've been using this quite a bit. I do like the Super Shock shadow formula. It's very interesting and just very easy to use and just kind of like throw on. So yeah, been loving these as well. Also the fact that they're Hocus Pocus themed just make it like even more exciting. So yeah, definitely ColourPop. The new ColourPop palettes that I acquired this year have been favorites. And then one that I definitely want to play around with a little bit more. I got this, when did I get this? June, maybe? I don't know. It was probably over the summer. This is the Makeup Revolution palette with Soph from the channel Soph Does Life. It's a collaboration. I have one of her other palettes. The first palette she did with them I own. I'm gonna cut the mirror off at the bottom so it's not reflecting. But this is what the palette looks like. It's really versatile because it has those kind of neutral shades that you can kind of use every day, but it also has a lot of colors. It has basically every color of the rainbow, which I think is really fun. I also love that it comes with a white and a black, because then you can kind of lighten up any shade. You can make a lot of the kind of colorful shades more pastel, or you can kind of deepen them up with the black eyeshadow. It's just really versatile. You can kind of get any look you could want with this. It's also kind of the perfect palette to travel with. Not that I travel a lot, even pre-pandemic, pre-Panini. That doesn't really happen with me, but maybe in the future we'll be traveling some more, and I would definitely bring it with me because it just kind of has everything you could want. And it's been a fun palette to kind of use and play around with a little bit. I've definitely reached more into the neutrals in this palette because that's just where I feel most comfortable, but I do like to sometimes branch out and use some more color, so it has been a fun palette to use for that. And yeah, really love it. I don't know actually if this is still available, so I'll try and link it below if I can still find it. It might be on Makeup Revolution's website still, but yeah, love it so much. It's definitely been one that I've used a lot this year. And then more kind of in the skincare realm, I do have one thing to mention. I've had to try out a few different things regarding skincare this year because the brand that I used to use is no longer cruelty-free. And with makeup and skincare, I try to buy from brands that are cruelty-free just because there's so many of them. To me, it feels like not really necessary to buy from the brands that aren't cruelty-free because there's so many other options out there. I'm not trying to sound preachy, that's just what I do. So I had to try out a few different things this year, and I'm still trying some things out, some new things, but this was something that I tried. I finished the whole thing, really enjoyed it, and it is the Pharmacy Daily Greens Oil-Free Gel Moisturizer. It's basically just the perfect moisturizer for my skin type because I really like the gel moisturizers because I have kind of combo skin. With a gel moisturizer, it doesn't, you know, feel too heavy on the areas of my face where it's oily, but it also still does a really good job of moisturizing the more drier areas of my face as well. And it also felt pretty reminiscent of the moisturizer that I used to use from the brand that I no longer want to buy from. So even though it was a very different like scent kind of thing, it felt very similar and worked very similarly, so I really enjoyed it. I actually got this from my mom because she had a BoxyCharm subscription for a while. I don't actually know if she still does, but it came in that, and she didn't think she would use it. She knew it would suit my skin type very well and that I would use it, so she let me steal it, and I used it up. I really liked it. It's a pretty expensive moisturizer, so I don't know if I repurchase it how often I will do that. I might repurchase it and then just not use it all the time. It's like almost $40, which is a lot, but I also don't kind of mind investing in skincare a little bit because, you know, it is taking care of your skin. But anyway, it is a bit more expensive, so don't know when I'm going to get a newer one, but I did use it up. I really enjoyed it. It moisturized my skin well, which is kind of the point of a moisturizer, so I really enjoyed it. Okay, only a few more things to mention that are more miscellaneous. So the first thing I want to mention is actually something I think I mentioned in another favorites video, and that is my Yeti koozie. I really love the Yeti products. I also have a Yeti water bottle, which I got for Christmas last year, and I also use this throughout the whole year. I wash it every day and then use it every day. It's my emotional support water bottle. I carry it with me everywhere, but I've also been using the Yeti koozie quite a bit this year. It's perfect for like skinnier cans, so like seltzers, or we sometimes get the refreshers from Starbucks that come in cans that fit perfectly in this, so I really love it. It's kind of perfect for keeping your drinks cold, which is, you know, the point of a koozie, but it's also really high quality and it does a really good job. The Yeti products are so great. I have never had any issues with Yeti. I feel like it just does a really good job. So very happy that I have this. And also I really like the color as well. I love that they come out with more pink colors. They used to have like a limited edition like hot pink color, and I had a water bottle that color as well. But I feel like over the past like year or so, they've come out with more pink shades, which makes me happy because I love pink, if you couldn't tell. It's my fave. So yeah, really love this, and this as well. This might as well be a favorite. I just really love the Yeti products. I think they work really great. The next thing I want to mention is Ana Luisa, which is a jewelry brand. Now, I have worked with them in the past. I am not working with them on this video. They don't even know I'm mentioning them, but because I have worked with them, I have received a lot of jewelry from them over the, the couple of times I've worked with them, and I genuinely love it. I'm wearing one of their necklaces right now. This was actually a gift from Casey, so love you, thank you. And this is the Hannah necklace. This is actually Hannah's from A Clockwork Reader, her necklace, and it's so beautiful. I wear it all the time, and I just wear a lot of the jewelry that I have from them all the time. I just genuinely love it. I don't really have, like, before this, did not have a lot of high quality jewelry. A lot of my jewelry came from like Forever 21, so it's been really nice to have some like high quality jewelry to wear. It makes me feel so luxurious and fancy, and I wanted to mention it because I have been wearing their jewelry kind of throughout the whole year, and I really, really enjoy it. Again, not sponsored, not working with them in this video. I just genuinely love it so much. I love their jewelry, and I just wanted to mention them really quick. I do have a discount code with them though if you want to check it out. It's in the description. And the final thing that I want to mention in this video is actually a website, and that is Notion. I have, I think, mentioned it quite a bit throughout the year since I started using it. It's basically this website where you can kind of organize anything you want. It can kind of be like a digital journal if you want. You can do like habit trackers and like daily logs and things like that. You can organize your work, your school. There's just so many different options. You can literally put anything you want there, and it's been such a great and helpful tool for me this year. I've used it a lot for organizing video related things for YouTube, because I used to use just like Google Drive and Google Calendar and Google Docs and stuff like that. So I would have like one document open for video ideas, and then I'd have another one open for like by month what videos I wanted to do. Then I'd have another document open like planning out the video. Then I'd have the calendar open to figure out when I want to post it. I would just have like so many tabs open, and I would get really confused, and I would have a lot of things like scattered around, and I would use like the notes app on my phone and on my computer. It was everywhere. Every idea and like plans and things like that scattered in various places. But now I have Notion where it's just all in one place, and it makes it so much easier, and it's so fun to organize and also like design and make it like pretty if you want. You don't have to make it pretty. I make it pretty because I'm looking at it every day, so I want it to look cute. But yeah, it's just been really helpful to keep track of like YouTube related things, Instagram things, but I've also kept track of like my reading and stuff on there, and I do have some more like personal things that I keep track of. It's just really helpful to have it all in one place. There's also an app, so it's like if I'm out and about and think of something, or I'm like shopping and I need to write down things that I need, I can use that on Notion as well. So I have just really loved using it. It's been such a helpful tool for me. I love being organized and planning things. I am not spontaneous at all. I like to know what's going on. I like to have a plan. That's why, like with YouTube, I always plan out everything so far in advance. I'm just a planner. It's just the way this brain works. If I don't plan, it's not happening. And that's just that. So it's been really helpful for me. Definitely a tool that I've really used a lot this year. And like I said, it's also fun to kind of organize and make cute if you would like to. There's a bunch of different colors and different like things that you can add to make it also like aesthetically pleasing. So it's just been really nice, and definitely something that I think I'm going to use for years and years for various different things. I'm currently using it to keep track of like Christmas gifts for people and what I need to, like if I'm doing any DIY things, what I need to do. It's just super helpful to have everything you want to keep organized in one place. But I believe that that is everything I wanted to mention. All of the favorite things across the entire year. Obviously, there's a lot of things I didn't mention. I have a lot of music and things that I just did not mention, but those were kind of the standouts, the highlights of the year, if you will. And I just really enjoy doing these videos every year. I think it's fun to reflect on the year, on the things that I enjoyed, especially the past couple of years when they've been not so great. They've been a bit rough. It's very nice to kind of just look back on the things that were good, the things that, even if it's just like, you know, a new song from Taylor Swift or something small that isn't, you know, huge, but it was enough to bring me happiness in that moment. It's just really nice to look back on those things. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope maybe you got some recommendations, or if you have anything that you loved this year that you want to share, please leave it down below in the comments. I would love to get some of your favorites, your recommendations. I'm always looking for new shows, music, new things to try out. So definitely leave any favorites of this year for you down below in the comments. But that is going to be it for this video. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.